A lot of news today regarding China trade, but retail's the really big story, Jim. Target and Lowe sort of offsetting the Home Depot Kohl's mood we got yesterday.
Yeah, let's just put to rest any notion that the tariffs are really hurting spending, that there's any real inflation, that the consumer's being hurt. Kohl's is an outlier. Home Depot had a glitch that if they manage to get it back on track, which they said they will, numbers are okay. Lowe's was really extraordinary. Marvin Ellison working his magic. Still feels like it's a work in progress. What can I say about Target? That's where people are shopping. So, I mean, I think that this whole storyline that it's Kohl's and Home Depot versus, say, Lowe's and Target is false. The dichotomy is that if you spend a lot of money on technology, you're winning. And if you didn't, you're losing. And the places that are spending, Walmart and Target, represent America. Make me feel very bullish about the consumer.
Home Depot's whole framework was that they are spending money, Jim. It's just that the benefits weren't coming soon enough.
Well, they screwed up. I usually they don't screw up, but the fact is that they thought there was a timeline that they had about where they were going to be. And one of the things that was most, I think, discouraging to people was that they said that their legacy systems needed to be adjusted. Well, we didn't know they had legacy systems. We thought that their systems were good. That's what I think was responsible for at least 6 points of that 12-point decline.
All right. So yesterday you said that you thought Lowe's was becoming the better buy. That's been ratified today?
Yeah. Marvin's doing a great job. And look, Ellison worked at Home Depot for a very long time. It looks like Lowe's didn't really spend nearly as much money as Home Depot. He's catching up on that. How about the fact that he's biting the bullet? The company took on in 2016 a huge chain of stores in Canada. It was too much. That's one of the reasons why the previous administration had to go. He's closing the stores that aren't working well. That is really kind of a new thing for Lowe's. He's still getting rid of the managers. He doesn't think he's doing a good job. The stores are looking better. Home Depot said they're taking share. I have to believe maybe they're taking share from mom and pops, but they're sure not taking it from Lowe's. This is a remarkable number. Both Lowe's and Target, their stocks are going to get a halo that indicates that if you buy them, even Target up 10, Lowe's up 6, at some point you're not going to be doing bad. I don't like to buy up 10 at the opening. But both those stocks are now up stocks, and they've become the anointed ones. Target will be anointed right through Christmas. Brian Cornell's interview with Becky was extraordinary. This man has the pulse of the consumer. He's winning. He's in places that nobody else is. He's taking share, I think, from Bed Bath, too. What a remarkable performance, and he was very self-effacing, which I love.
Yeah, it's worth coming back to the numbers themselves, I think. And to your point, Jim, those who bought the stock after that surprisingly strong last quarter are being rewarded yet again. It was not a one-off. It is a sign of a long-term seminal change at the company. To put it in perspective, and as they said on the call, they're talking about a 10% increase at this point over the last 2 years in their comp store sales. That's pretty darn significant. That's this quarter to 2 years ago's quarter. And when you have that kind of an increase, of course, your margin expands dramatically. And in this case, they're talking about margin dollars increasing more than 22% compared with a year ago. So that has resulted in what is nearly a 25% increase in adjusted earnings per share. And there is why the stock is hitting new highs all the time. In sharp contrast, of course, to what we saw yesterday with Kohl's in particular down dramatically, 19% on that pricing world that they described as being very competitive and one that they had to sort of try and keep a lead on. Although TJX, which I'm now going to point out the market cap of every time, $74 billion market cap TJX did have a good quarter as well. So it was a very mixed bag.
Well, they thrive.
I guess, Jim. Yeah.
Look, Target has managed to use technology to make it so that their Omni-channel is really working. TJX, they openly disdain the online world. Why? Because they have value. They have the lowest prices. It is such a love stock. I didn't want to. I mean, I knew everything else was going to raise price. I mean, it's become a given. Kohl's talks about promotional. I've got to tell you, Target's not talking promotional. And TJX, well, when you're promotional, then you have a lot of extra inventory. When you have extra inventory, it goes to TJX. The companies that are saying it's promotional, and by the way, Home Depot says promotional, they're not doing that well. And the companies that say things are good, they're not talking about promotional. They're talking about winning traffic. David, traffic is the goal, and Target is getting the traffic. Again, that leveraging, as you pointed out, you get the traffic, and then you do get the gross margins. You get the gross margins, then you get the big numbers. Target's not done going higher. I think people are really trying to seriously address the fact that Target not only is back to the old Target, but maybe the most superior retailer that is online in America. I can never say that Amazon is not superior.
Carl, that goes to what were digital comps that were up 31%, 49% a year ago. So again, growing very quickly.
And driven, they said 80% of the digital comp growth was because of same-day delivery, essentially. People wanting it the next day. And traffic up 3-1, Jim, to your point, versus a prior 2-4. As you mentioned, Brian Cornell, we did hear from earlier this morning on Squawk. This is what he said about the consumer.
We continue to see a very healthy consumer environment. Obviously, a very strong labor environment. Unemployment continues to be very low. You know, the percentage of consumers that are in the workforce continues to grow. Wages are rising. Consumer confidence is strong. And all the indicators right now would say this is going to be a very solid holiday season.
And by solid, I guess they're looking at 3 to 4, Jim. All those streets already at 3.4.
Well, look, I mean, these are gigantic companies. So if he does 4, that's a big deal. Probably do more than that. The number raises were really extraordinary. I've been in visiting stores with Brian, and the stores he has multiple formats, by the way, which everyone told him he couldn't do. He's got inner city formats. He's got formats at college campuses. He's got very chic stores in some of the downtowns in America. And I've got to tell you, when I hear him and I hear his confidence, I feel confident. I think that the tape right now is reflecting, once again, both the impeachment and perhaps more tariffs. And look at what the market's done with this reflection of tariffs. You listen to these guys, and they're not talking tariffs. That's amazing. It's not supposed to be happening. I mean, I keep waiting for what I'm saying. Look, I hate Trump, and tariffs are really hurting. They haven't done that. They're just talking about the fact that the consumers spending, and they're not being hurt by the tariffs. They're not the tariffs aren't that important.
Well, we don't know what it would look like without them. We don't know what business investment would look like. We don't know what margins would look like. I mean, Macmillan did tell Becky, we would love to see these issues resolved. And we have seen some impact from tariffs.
And we're getting, if we get them in the middle of December, that is ones that will apply specifically to a lot of the stuff that comes out of a Target or a Walmart, right?
Well, look, I mean, Target admitted to Becky that they have a lot of Chinese merchandise, but every single month that goes by, he would tell you, anyone would tell you, they pull out of China. It's a supply chain issue. They don't even have the container ships that you see behind me later on today to be able to go into Haiphong Harbor. They have to be able to handle one of them. But India's winning, Thailand's winning, Indonesia's winning, Japan's winning, Korea's winning, and Vietnam's winning. And the longer it drags out, the more these guys recognize that they have to leave. I had Gary Friedman on last night, RH, the old Restoration Hardware. He said, look, we have to do this. We have to win this fight. He was very pro our strategy. And he said, look, the tariffs, they cost them a little bit. Everyone admits that it's a little bit, but the consumer's doing so well that it just seems to be lost in the shuffle. And a lot of the vendors have been taking the heat. I know that we can argue that I'm being way too, let's say, glib about the tariffs, but so are the really good retailers. The bad retailers are feeling the tariffs. They'll blame anything. I think the bad retailers don't like how the football season's going.
Well, we've been dealing with that for generations, right? Blaming weather, holiday seasons,
whatever you can
calendars.
Yeah. I know that there's some Kohl's that are located near Targets. Can you believe that it is so sunny on the Target side of the street, but it's just pouring rain on Kohl's side? It's extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, we need Al Roker to figure out what's going on with some of these retailers.